COVID has challenged, I think, um, homelessness is already difficult by nature, and COVID has only added to the challenges that people experiencing homelessness already experience. As an agency that has been serving this population for about 5 years now, we have also been challenged to continue operating, but operating in a way that is enhanced safety. And our concern from the very beginning was, how do we prevent asymptomatic transmission? So we're always acting as if we potentially were exposed, and how do we not share that exposure, or how do we not transmit? So that's something that we're always consistently thinking about. In regards to people experiencing homelessness, I know that mental health is something that we all struggle with, even in the best of circumstances, being housed, and that is something that the agitation that I have seen increasing definitely over the weeks, as people are increasingly hungry, as they're increasingly wet and cold, as shelters start to not accept as many clients because they're considered breakout zones, and cases in the homeless population are actually increasing of COVID as the rest of us are opening up our economy.
I know we kind of talked about this a little bit prior to the interview. We both have this mutual friend that's actually on Facebook. Like Chaz and I, we've actually been friends on Facebook for a couple of years now, I believe. And I've been kind of following you and seeing what you're doing for the community. And this is really why I wanted you on here, was because you're doing this amazing thing for the public, for the homeless. And so thank you, first of all. But also, yeah, I've been kind of seeing like the posts going around that, you're asking for a few items. And one of them were like tents. So I was like, well, why would they ask? Yeah, why would they ask for tents? But because right now with the music industry, that's one of the bigger things that I do, is I do a lot of music interviews. But one of our friends had said, if we could give those music festival tents to you instead of for the festivals, it would be able to help you. How have people been with responding to that?
I had an email yesterday of a person saying, well, do we really want tent cities popping up? And should we be giving tents out to people? And ultimately I said, when homeless shelters are not accepting clients because they're breakout zones, and last week, for example, we had 24 cases of COVID in the homeless population. Yesterday, that number was updated to 30. And people are staying outside out of fear, for one, and two, the only shelter that is accepting clients that hasn't been consistently full is the Mustard Seed. So when there's increased barriers, where do people stay? If we don't give them a tent, then we're letting them just stay outside in the cold and get wet and exposed to the elements. So I challenged the person that sent this email, and I said, do you have a better solution than giving tents? Because right now, that's our only choice. And we advocated for the province to actually give hotels to people experiencing homelessness. And I know the city had that plan initially. The province stepped in, overrided that, chose that warehousing solution that we see, where we're putting hundreds of people in one room. And ultimately, this is the consequence of those type of policies, that now we have to hand out tents because there is COVID and they're breakout zones.
So have you guys been using hotels or no? Did you stay away from that?
We wanted to, but the province chose to send the funding to open new overflow shelters. Okay. So the warehousing type situation. There is, an option by AHS if you become infected with COVID that you will get a hotel. But again, you have to be getting a test or have symptoms and be infected with COVID to get that hotel.
Okay. So don't fake it.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I have to say it is good that you guys are doing that. How many homeless would you say is the population in Calgary?
So the last point in time count, it was, I believe, 2,911. I always just say 3,000 is what the point in time count said. Yeah.
What has, that's been the highest through COVID, or has it been higher before COVID? Have you noticed change?
So we won't know the impact until the next point in time count is done. It's done once every few years, I believe. So we won't know the results of COVID until we do this again coming up. But what I've seen is an increase in what we call rough sleepers. So rough sleepers are people that will sleep out rough, so in tents, that they're avoiding shelters. So it was about 70% of our clients a couple days ago were sleeping outside. And traditionally, 70% were sleeping in shelters. So we've seen a reversal of our numbers, and the amount of people sleeping outside is actually our prime number that we're dealing with.
So do you think it's just reversed because of COVID? They don't want to be in that enclosed area because of infection rates? Okay.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. I wonder, do you want to be in a room full of hundreds of people either during the pandemic? So.
Well, no, it's just a question that it's just got to be asked, because sometimes when you're in a situation where you have to kind of choose between, do you want a warm shelter, a warm bed, and risk this, or are people just like, okay, well, I'm willing to just get sick another way, having to be outside and really rough it, because it's serious, right? They're having to make these life decisions right now. So I couldn't imagine it being a very easy one. So would you say now, because you were saying that you help out like mental health wise as well, has this increased? Have you had to offer way more services for that?
For the most part, people have been in survival mode, so they're operating at the fight or flight. I've had a few referrals to different mental health programs, and I would think that when things start to calm down, that we'll see more of that mental health coming out when the survival mode, when their survival instincts sort of taper down.
Where in the city do most of the homeless usually kind of generally flock to?
It's downtown, because the services that they require are primarily centralized in the downtown core. But they're not all living downtown. They're living all across the city.
Okay, so yeah, because when you drive around the city, sometimes you see them kind of scattered and sometimes you see them downtown. So you're not really sure of, are there services across the city then, or is it just we only offer downtown? What do you guys have?
So the homeless shelters are primarily all located in the downtown core. We have 4 primary shelters. The drop-in center would be the largest of those shelters, and generally they will hold around 1,000 people, 750 to 1,000 of those homeless individuals in that one facility.
Okay. What has been your biggest struggles, even, let's just say, even from the beginning of creating this type of business? What have you had to endure from the beginning to now?
Beyond the ridicule of people saying, like, are you crazy? Why are you doing this? It's been interesting because it's always a new challenge. So at first it was, how do we get food? And then it was how do we maintain donations, and today it's, how do we do this safely without exposing people experiencing homelessness to the risk of COVID. You and I are healthy, so we're in our homes often, we eat well, we sleep well. So right now, the constant challenge I'm thinking of is how do we not, how do we keep them healthy?
What has been kind of the answer to that question? How have you been keeping them healthy?
Yeah, with my team wearing PPE, we sanitize a lot. I even have them cleaning the bottom of their shoes in our outreach room when we get in. We have a spray bottle. But also, right away, we switched from making sandwiches to providing things like emergency vitamins and Ensures and Boost and meal replacements. So it's been a lot of like the nutritious, healthy vitamins and minerals that probably were not in the diet pre-COVID, but we introduced now.
So have people been sponsoring that, or have you guys just had to kind of do it out of pocket to get that? How's that work for you?
Yeah, all private donations or out of pocket. My team will buy stuff if we run out of funds. I will do the same as well. But ultimately, we put out calls on our Facebook, which I'm sure you've seen. I am always fundraising, and it's really you all, the community, that keep Be the Change running. And I think that speaks towards the name even in itself of Be the Change, because it is really Calgarians that are being the change and keeping us going.
Have you had sponsors from outside of the city helping too? Because like we're on air right now with Jess FM and Jess TV, and they're in Lethbridge. So have you seen a bigger, like maybe from Alberta or other places at all?
Yeah, actually, that's funny enough that you say that. My buddy Devin Hargraves, I think you say his name, he's an MLA there in Lethbridge, and he donated actually not too long ago. I have volunteers from Cochrane, from Airdrie, and people from all over Alberta that are donating indeed, yeah.
That's good. So the word is kind of getting out, and people have been helping. What do you think, do you think you need more people's time, or would you just say it's more like the supplies that just kind of keep coming in?
We definitely need more supplies. Training outreach workers is something that we're doing. We have a training manual for anyone that becomes a volunteer with us to kind of train them so that they are more trauma equipped and aware of harm reduction and the resources that the city has to offer. So we have a great team of outreach workers, and they're very diverse, and I love them. Right now, we need to, like Calgary and area has been great at donating, and I would encourage them to continue donating the monetary items and the tangibles that we do need.
Okay. So hopefully, yeah, we'll kind of share up some links or something along the way. Make sure they kind of send us something, and then we can kind of throw it out there now that people are more aware of this is what's happening. And yeah, some of us, we don't have to worry about, people are more worried about losing their jobs, but right now people don't even think about the homeless, that they don't have the job and they don't even have a home, let alone have to worry about like their income or anything. Like they're having to worry about everything. So so help out in any way. For anyone that's watching or listening, that would be amazing if you guys can give in any which way that you can, because I'm sure you're consistently looking, and you're, come on in, give us donations, whatever. So that would be great if you guys could do that for sure. What has been probably the hardest thing just for you? Like, has your whole journey in this, has it really affected you personally?
I've just been super busy, and I think that in chaos we have to remind ourselves to slow down and take those good mindful moments where we can do the things that we enjoy, like self-care. And for me, that's been a lot of gardening lately. I'm so glad that it's been nice out. I grow I was telling you earlier, my tomatoes. I actually start them from seeds inside the house, and they're outside now, and I have carrots and peas and beans, arugula, all sorts of great stuff. So it's just been reminding myself to stay grounded.
Yeah. Does it, because I'm sure there must be times where you just sit at home and then it just kind of like dawns on you of like, does it kind of get depressing, or do you just think, okay, this is such a good thing that I'm doing? Like, how has it been for you like that, like mentally?
Yeah, so it's there's definitely been moments where, it's great that I'm doing something good. I think we all need to recognize when we're doing something good. But like you say, there has been moments where, like when the province announced that they wouldn't be giving, hotel rooms to people experiencing homelessness, and for the same cost, actually, they chose to open the TELUS Convention Center and warehouse our homeless. And now they're saying that that cost to us as taxpayers could actually be even more, to warehouse them. And this is hundreds of individuals all in the same room. And I like to look at people as people, and I want to give people the same things in life that I would take for granted, like my bed. Having a bed is really a luxury when you're homeless. But I think that when it comes to mental health and things like a pandemic, that people should have beds. I think the TELUS Convention Center is a step up from most shelters. When you see the photos, they have cots. Most shelters won't be cots; they're just mats on the floor. Some shelters in Calgary, that you don't even get a blanket, you don't get a pillow. You literally are just laying on a mat on a floor. So even when we're giving away our sleeping bags and tents and tarps, we actually have blow up pillows as well that we're giving away, because there is something special about having that type of dignity and stuff that you and I would take for granted. So it was definitely a bit depressing to know that the powers that be would choose that solution over, what I would have done.
Yeah. Has there
I hope
been,
that answers your question.
no, it's good. It's really good. It's amazing. I wanted to also ask you, like, have you had kind of like maybe a magical moment of really changing someone's life through this?
There's always magical moments. There's always that one person. We're helping a lot of people, 8,200 each outreach that we're out. Um, but most recently, I'm thinking of this one lady, and she was super upset, having a really hard time. And so I wrote her this letter, and I gave her, just a $5 gift card. And I went back the next outreach day, and I really took that extra time and gave that to her. And that little spark in her eyes, I saw that light come back, and it was like I was talking to a different person. And it's those little moments of where you see that light and that hope, and the people look at you with that hope, that you realize that, like you say, it's a magical moment. So
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to flip the coin, because we need to know what has been one of the hardest times that you've had to deal with. And you don't, like, if you don't have to name names or whatever like that, but it could just be a specific moment that you're just like, maybe you wish you could have done more, or just something that maybe hit your heart.
mhm. What I can say is the most difficult moment, I think, recently was making the decision I really struggled with, do we cancel outreach and shut down like other nonprofits are doing? Most groups have shut down indeed, and are still shut down. And do I take the risk of potentially, like, allowing myself to be exposed, allowing other people to be exposed in order to help other people. That was a really challenging decision to make. Like, I did not take that lightly. I called many people, and every week, every day before outreach, it was consistently. I mean, if somebody did get sick on my team, I wonder, like, how would that affect me? Would I blame myself? So that was definitely a hard decision, but a decision that had to be made at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Has anyone actually gotten sick helping out?
No, no.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Because all the good things you're doing, I would hate to kind of see that, because you're doing such a good deed for the community. So that's so good to see. Have you seen?
Thank you. Yeah.
Have you seen like changes in our city? Like, have you noticed from the beginning of your journey with this whole business to now, has there been like a big change in the city with it? Like in positivity, or like more helpers, or like has it become a little bit more well known across the city? What would you say have been the changes through the years?
The changes in the years. So I know that since the pandemic started, it became increasingly easier to connect with City Hall, actually. Funny enough, that I can reach out to them, and they seem to have a really direct line. There's a particular couple counselors, Jody Gondek, I always say that wrong, and Counselor Jahal. So right away, it's been pretty easy to connect with them. And I know that Counselor Gondek actually supported us in moving us into the space in the Source downtown so that we could scale up our outreach and help more individuals. So that has been a huge help to us. So what I would say is the awareness has definitely increased. I've been working on and off in this sector for about 10 years, and I've never quite seen the media footage showing how people experiencing homelessness are living. Haven't seen that much interest towards that cause, and that's been something great to see.
That's good. Because you said you've been through it yourself. How did you get out of it when you went through it?
So it was housing. I had an interesting home life as a young person, and discovering myself and whatnot. But ultimately, I recall a time when I was 18. As soon as I turned 18, I actually got a credit card, and I maxed it out and got myself off the streets. But within a few months later, I just could not afford to pay that rent anymore. It was just too expensive, even working full time. So I ended up living with a few friends and hopping around. So I was homeless again, and it was this new program that had started called the Infinity Project with Boys and Girls Club, and they actually gave me an apartment. They paid the first month's rent and damage deposit, and they set me up for a few months. And eventually, they gave me, a therapist, and they gave me a worker that kind of supported me. And they just kind of gave me a launch platform where I could choose to succeed or fail. And they gave me a safety net where I could fail and build myself back up and have a safe place to learn. Many people don't know, but when you leave children's services at the age of 18, they actually close your file as soon as you're 18. And what parent do you know just says, I'm cutting you off because you're 18 now? Like, parenting is a lifelong process, right? So it's interesting that our children's services would decide that at 18 you're adult enough to figure everything out for yourself. And it's unfortunate, because I do see young people who are now 18 staying at the drop-in every so often, and I'm constantly trying to connect them with this particular program because they are youth still, and they do have lots of opportunities to learn and still grow at that age.
Mm-hmm. So the kind of the program that you went through, like you said, it was a Boys and Girls Club that kind of put you back on your, is that the similar type of program that you offer for all the homeless, or do you have different programs?
So we at Be the Change, we don't have a housing program ourselves, but we are system navigators. So we will connect people experiencing homelessness to these programs. So Housing First, the Housing First model that I was in, I do indeed advocate for that, and that I think should be the standard for all types of housing. What Housing First says is that housing is your inherent dignity, and until you're housed first, we can't deal with the other things going on in your life. So, for example, if a person was, consuming too much alcohol, they were misusing that substance, they were an alcoholic. I wouldn't say they need to quit drinking to get into housing. I would say that in order to quit drinking, they first need housing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So we
they
can't
need,
deal with these deeper issues without housing. Yeah.
right, because it says like, it kind of makes sense that you need kind of that safe, secure home environment to be able to be like, okay, I feel good about myself, I'm being taken care of, and then you can do the
Yeah.
underlying issues, right? What is the biggest cause of homelessness?
I mean, not having a home.
Well, I mean,
People need a home.
just like, well, there's other reasons. Like, there's some people that
Hmm.
they've had everything, and then they end up losing their
Hmm.
job, and then they end up going homeless.
Yeah.
Like, they've gone reverse, right? So what have you seen that's been the biggest cause of it?
So it's a lack of decent and affordable housing. I think that if people had affordable, decent housing, that we would have that safety net where we could make mistakes and ultimately not have to end up without a home. If housing was affordable, if you and I could easily purchase a home and own a home that was affordable, then we wouldn't have these huge systems of perpetuating homelessness and people ending up homeless due to other types of issues like domestic abuse or substance or mental health.
Okay, that makes absolute perfect sense. Well, some people, like, I hear stories of, yeah, wealthy people, and then all of a sudden they flip around and they end up on the streets, and it's like, well, like, how did they get there? And it's unfortunate, but yeah, some people lose their jobs, and then they
Yeah.
have no ways of getting back into work somehow, and then they flop into homelessness. So it's
Yeah.
interesting to see, but yes, that's probably the number one cause, is just they can't afford a house. So
Yeah.
um has there been any, because I know there's like the Calgary Housing Association, but I don't know if you guys work with them or not.
Mhm. So we'll refer to them, but the wait list is a couple years and people are triaged. And all housing, I have many clients that have waited for a few years to get into housing. It's
Yeah,
not a
I know that it's 4,000
process.
people. It's a wait of 4,000 people to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Yeah. We need housing.
Yeah. So hopefully, maybe there could be a solution of how we can go around this, and hopefully, like, you guys have been getting some ideas together or getting more sponsors and how, like, getting to fix this issue. For the next,
Hmm.
do you guys have any goals in place, or do you have any goals set for the company, or have anything in mind that you really want to accomplish in the next 5 years?
So we wanted to, first of all, now that we qualify for our charity status, we want to grow to become a charity from our nonprofit. But we want to open an outreach center because, and what I mean by that is a place where people could come shower, that they could use the computers, that they could come do laundry, and just basically do some of their some of their basic needs, have some of those basic needs met so that people can get jobs and they can connect and things like that. But ultimately, I hope that we're able to support the system in creating more affordable housing with supports and getting people housed.
Mm. Have you ever gone to any employers and just asked them if they ever wanted to just go down and get the homeless to just do any type of work and make a little bit? Has anybody come to you with an idea like that?
Not particular, a company hasn't come to us, but I know that there are a few companies that will refer to and temp agencies that do different things like that. I think there are a potential for a lot more jobs that people experiencing homelessness could do. I have people that sweep the streets and clean up cigarette butts all the time. They just walk around and do it for something to do, and they're homeless. So I know that would be a job that people could do and are doing already. So,
What other skills do these homeless people have that you've actually seen, and you're like, you would be good at this or that? Like, have you come to them and said that they actually had maybe a talent that they don't know of?
People that are homeless are just like you and me. I think that they have all a wide genre of skills, all sorts of things. One of the most common that I see is artists and musicians, people that paint, they draw, they sing, and people that play instruments. And, I wasn't gifted with most of those abilities when it comes to being artistic in that sense, but it's amazing how much creativity I do see in the homeless population.
Interesting. That's good. I'm glad I asked that question, because you don't really know who's out there and what their life story is, and how many, like, I think everyone's got a special talent. So maybe this is a way that people can see this and be able to use it to be able to help somehow to lower this rate of the homelessness somehow. I'm hoping. Well, anybody that's watching, if you have any ideas, or if there's some way that these, someone could help get them employed, or maybe they can draw designs for houses. Who knows, right?
Yeah, I'm here for sure. And we partnered with a new initiative called recoveryforall.ca, where it is petitioning the federal government currently to actually use the emergency COVID funds that they have been issuing to end homelessness. So that has been something that we're pushing for as well, is a recovery for all, as the rest of us are recovering as well.
Good, that's totally amazing. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, we're gonna wrap up now. But if you kind of want to let everyone know where they can find you on, like, the social media, where they can donate to, just kind of that little bit of information for us, that would be great.
So you can connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Be The Change YYC, or you can check out our website, which is BeTheChangeYYC.org, and you can donate via PayPal, credit, or debit on our website, or we accept e-transfer, or if you want to meet up and come drop by, we can always arrange that, and we can meet in person.
Perfect. Of course, safely, right?
Oh, and you can give us a call or text our outreach phone at 587-224-9114.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Chaz. I really do appreciate you coming in, giving us awareness of what's been happening, because a lot of us, like, we're stuck in our homes, and these are people that are stuck without a home. So yes, thank you for your time and letting us know a little bit more of the amazing work that you're doing and helping others. We appreciate you so much. Hopefully we'll get more volunteers or more donations coming in. So we appreciate you so very much. So the rest of you, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, I'm your producer and host. I'm Carrie. This is Connected with Carrie. Thank you for joining us tonight here on Jess TV, Jess FM. I'm here every Tuesday night, 9 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Please join us again next Tuesday. Chaz, I'm going to have him over to my regular program at Underground Radio C. That's the business that I own, and I run it there. If anyone wants to be also on that show, you can contact me at radioc.contact@gmail.com. Please contact me too if you even want to be on this show as well, connected with Carrie. I'm always looking for people that have a voice, that want to say something, that you're helping the community. If you want to connect with Chaz as well, by all means, please contact me as well. So I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Keep safe. Please smile, help others, and just, keep the love going around. Thank you again, Chaz, so very much. All the love. Thanks so much again for coming. Have a great night.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for telling the story.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Have a great night.
You too. Bye.